The first gathering of the parishioners of St. Agnes took place in July 1851. It would be 35 years until the first church would be built, and another 53 years before the mission would become a parish. In fact, there was not even a priest serving the community at the time. Reverend Thomas H. Shahan, the celebrant that day, was waiting at the station for a train to Melrose when local Catholics learned of his presence and prevailed upon him to say a Mass for them. He agreed, and about 300 people gathered at a nearby home for the service. From the outset, the members of St. Agnes community have been fierce in their love of the Lord and their joy in communal worship. As Father Shahan learned that day, the town of Reading was in need of a church. The vibrant Catholic community of Massachusetts can be traced to the immigration of great numbers of Irish and French Canadian believers to the area in the late 18th and early 19th century. They came as rail workers and settled in the towns that sprouted up along the tracks they had laid. As their community grew at astounding speed, the young diocese was hard-pressed to keep up with the demands for houses of worship and gathering spaces to serve them, which is how the Catholics of Reading found themselves without a place to gather and worship God. Fittingly, the railroad that was central to the growth of Reading would also be at the heart of the creation of the church. Following that fateful train trip in 1851, Father Shahan was instrumental in founding a mission for the community he met that day. The community progressed from meeting at St. Joseph's in Wakefield to Lyceum Hall in Reading, to the first Catholic church in Reading, which stood on Washington Street. In 1904, St. Agnes Parish received their first pastor, Father Dennis Lee. Father Lee greeted his fledgling parish by capturing their spirit of community and acknowledging the leadership and service of the parishioners who had dedicated themselves to building it.
We must remember, you and I, that first of all, we are working for the glory of God, without whom all labor is in vain. We are here for the advancement of religion and your spiritual welfare. You and I must do our share towards making the beautiful town of Reading better and advancing its welfare.
By 1908, the young church had outgrown her first home. Priests and people working together bought land on Woburn St and together built the beautiful church that welcomes worshipers today. With their home finally established, parishioners were able to set out fulfilling the charge that Father Lee had set to serve their community. The parish took up a mission of bringing spiritual growth to all, which meant everything from ministering to those hospitalized in the North Reading Sanitarium and supporting an incipient parish in the town, to attending to the needs of their own church. Even as beloved pastors passed away or moved on to other parishes, the community's faith and mission never wavered. The renewing spirit of the church also became a source of comfort for the residents of Reading as they fell on hard times. The burden of unemployment, depleted savings, and lost homes hit the community hard during the Great Depression. St. Agnes, however, continued to flourish. The pastor at the time, Father Brandley, put his congregation to work revitalizing the church grounds and installing the stunning stained glass window in the upper church. Not only that, but in these times of need, the community saw some of its former members become benefactors. The first of the windows was donated by Father Lee, the parish's first pastor. The second by Father Corkery, one of the early parish assistants. In this way, the church and her community were able to sustain each other even in the darkest trials. By this time, St. Agnes had become one of the most vibrant gathering places and sources of support within the Reading community, a role that was critical during the trying times during and after World War II. Amidst the sorrow of lost service members and the trials of war, St. Agnes was a place of comfort and even celebration. A new Wurlitzer organ provided the gift of music, which was further supplemented by the sounds and songs of Boys and Girl Scout troops, a dramatic group, and the newly formed Catholic Youth Organization, CYO. St. Agnes's investment in youth programming grew when the church announced the opening of a grammar school in 1951. The school provided more than a safe and enriching educational environment. School fundraisers became social events, and volunteer opportunities offered parishioners new ways to get involved. By this point in time, the parish had truly become a welcoming place for everyone. Children attended school and then drama practice, where they performed in musicals directed by then-pastor Father Joseph Healy. Couples hosted new families and visitors, and ecumenical gatherings with the town's other churches became annual events. Unfortunately, with the diminishing number of sisters, the Dominican sisters reluctantly had to leave our parish, and St. Agnes School was forced to close in 1970. Being open to the moving of the Holy Spirit, our parish was soon able to supply a different type of opportunity for young families. Family liturgy began in 1972 as a means of welcoming children and parents in a more intimate setting for worship. This is perhaps the church's longest-running ministry, as family liturgy masses continue to be celebrated every Sunday of the school year. The recent history of St. Agnes continues in the spirit of her rich and humble beginnings. The community continues to search for new ways to enrich the spiritual and social lives of parishioners as the community's needs change.
This is the air I breathe, your holy presence living in me.
Over the years, there has always been a focus on engaging with youth. The Catholic Youth Organization evolved into Youth Group.
This is my daily bread.
The love of music and drama that had been part of the community during Father Healy's pastorate was resurrected in the St. Agnes Summer Theater program. Recognizing the important place young adults have in the church, we have been involving more and more of our teens in liturgical and music ministries, as well as in the religious education program. Adult education and enrichment has also become a focus of late. Prayer groups began in 1975 and survived in various iterations until present day, morphing from large group events held on church grounds to intimate small group discussions bookended by community-wide celebrations. Support groups for the unemployed and the bereaved were started, and community members came together to provide meals, services, support, and bring the Eucharist to the homebound and the local hospital and nursing homes.
Blessed be God forever.
In 1979, the parish celebrated its Diamond Jubilee at the Hawks Fieldhouse of Reading Memorial High School, and today that same site is the setting for a Christmas Eve Mass that attracts more than 2,500 parishioners and town residents to join together in joy. We have truly become a beacon of God's love to all. Over time, the St. Agnes community has brought consolation and community to many thousands of Catholics in the town of Reading. The church has maintained its prominence in the community by remaining true to Father Lee's original call to action, to be a welcoming parish that would provide spiritual growth and advancement for its people, the town of Reading, and beyond. This spirit Service leadership has allowed the essence of this community to remain alive over the decades and centuries, and it will continue on into the next generation.